What does it take to be called great? To be remembered throughout history with that type of adjective for generations to come? Well, we're going to get these answers by looking at the man, myth, legend himself, Alexander the Great of Macedonia. I am deeply interested about how people are remembered through time, and if they truly deserve these titles, given to them whether they want them or not, kind of like an unwanted nickname. If we are lucky, we will be remembered as Alexander is. But did he really deserve this title? Or was it inflated? In recent years, I have seen much about the undeserving side, how he was actually much more a man and much less so great. In this video, we are going to take an in-depth look at two sides of the coin. Alexander wasn't given the name, the Great, by a decree. It was a posthumous epithet that emerged over time, primarily due to his unparalleled military success as an undefeated commander, the vast empire he built, and the significant spread of Hellenistic culture he facilitated. The title gained currency with the ancient Romans and was later applied to others, but for Alexander, it stuck due to his legendary status as a military genius and world changer, a title recognized by ancient writers, including the Roman writer Plautus. So let's dive in and see if we cannot separate the positive from the negative, looking at his great deeds and his not-so-great human qualities, and as always, make our own decisions about whether the title is worthy or not. Alexander the Great was born in 356 BCE in Pella, the ancient capital of Macedonia, was one of history's most successful and renowned military leaders. The son of King Philip II and Queen Olympias, Alexander was educated by the philosopher Aristotle, who instilled in him a deep appreciation for philosophy, science, and culture. At the age of 20, after his father's assassination, Alexander ascended to the Macedonian throne and quickly set out to expand his empire. Over the course of just over a decade, he conquered a vast territory stretching from Greece and Egypt in the west to the Indus River Valley in the east, creating one of the largest empires in ancient history. Known for his tactical brilliance, fearless leadership, and ambition, Alexander never lost a battle, even against numerically superior forces. His conquests spread Greek culture and language across the known world, a legacy that came to be known as the Hellenistic era. Despite his early death at the age of 32 in 323 BCE, likely due to illness, his influence endured for centuries, shaping the cultural and political landscapes of the regions he conquered. Now that we have some background, it is time for the good news first, yeah? Alexander the Great earned his title through a combination of brilliant military campaigns, the creation of one of the largest empires in the ancient world, and his lasting legacy of spreading Hellenistic culture across 3 continents. His achievements reshaped the ancient world and influenced generations of leaders who came after him. I think the greatest reason for this admiration came from his unmatched military genius, as Alexander was touted to be undefeated in battle. In his decade of campaigning, Alexander never lost a major battle, despite often being heavily outnumbered. He personally led his elite cavalry, the companion cavalry, to inspire fierce loyalty in his troops and charge the enemy's weak points. He had deeply innovative tactics. At the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE, he defeated a much larger Persian army harnessed by Darius III. He did this by devising a new formation to counter their scythed chariots and envelop their army. He also famously outsmarted his enemies at the Siege of Tyre by building a massive causeway to take the island city. He did this to cut off Persian supply lines, allowing him complete control of the Mediterranean. Alexander was also a master of logistics. He expertly managed the complex supply lines needed to sustain his army through incredibly long marches across diverse and difficult terrain, though his army mutinied in India after becoming weary of endless campaigns. Men are pretty simple creatures. We respect the powerful and admonish the tiny as insignificant. This has changed in modern times, because fortunately we have evolved into valuing brain power, self-control, and maintaining one's frame as part of looking up to a man's total character. We can see that many ancient leaders, whether from mythos or not, such as Achilles, Hercules, Odysseus, and the like, all shared one common trait in making their names survive in greatness throughout history. They were all hyper-strong, alpha males, in control, militarily dominating, and all had successful campaigns. In order for your name to last through time, it seems you have to match the machismo of the time. Back then it was a strong military commander, but it has evolved to include a myriad of things today, ranging from the arts to music and sciences. With legacies represented by men like Abraham Lincoln, Robert Oppenheimer, Pablo Picasso, Nikola Tesla, and yes, Michael Jackson. Alexander was also highly respected, as he should be, for the creation of a vast dynasty, which conquered the Persian Empire. Alexander inherited a well-trained Macedonian army from his father, Philip II, and used it to destroy the Achaemenid Persian Empire in a series of decisive victories. As a man of the more beige persuasion, it is comical to make a video like this when this next point started his downfall. His dreaded expansion into India. His conquest stretched from Greece and Egypt to the Indus Valley in modern-day Pakistan and India, though he eventually had to turn back when his troops refused to go further. It just goes to show that even back then, outsiders still could not stomach the water. It can be said it was many factors that played a part in this, but it could have been a mix of the foul water, forcing the soldiers to drink the strong wine. And we all know what happens when aggressive men get bored and drunk: mutiny. We can see that India was the dream of many great men, from Alexander to Christopher Columbus and Marco Polo. And they did not risk their lives for a third world. No, it was for the untold riches that once made the world covet this motherland, doing almost anything it took to reach it, let alone claim it. Alexander also founded new cities. Throughout his empire, he established numerous stations of power, many named Alexandria, which became centers of trade, learning, and cultural exchange. The most famous of these, Alexandria in Egypt, housed the legendary Library of Alexandria. I highly respect this aspect of Alexander, even though it was a bit vain and highly ego-driven. I cannot blame him for this, though, because he still respected knowledge and wanted to spread it throughout his empire. Alexander left an enduring cultural legacy, imprinting the Hellenistic age and its principles on the rest of the world. This was marked by a time of widespread cultural diffusion where Greek language, art, architecture, and ideas blended with Eastern traditions. This fusion created a new, influential civilization that endured for centuries. It also created a more globalized world. Alexander's vision helped create a more interconnected world by spreading Greek civilization eastward and exposing the Greeks to the knowledge and traditions of Persia and India. Maybe these cultures wanted to keep their seclusion, holding on to their tribal cultures, not giving into the foreign influences, but men like Alexander believe they know what is best for others, and this is the downfall of man. His inspiration on future leaders is an important point to discuss, because it is the impact on other powerful people who helped shape the world that really makes one worthy. When your actions spawn more actions, leading to an exponential increase, an explosion of cultural reciprocity in the future, then you know you have done something special. His tactical brilliance and legendary ambition made him a role model for future leaders and generals for centuries, including prominent figures like Julius Caesar and Napoleon Bonaparte. Now that we have sufficiently simped enough, it is time to deliver the bad news and see if this man was truly worthy. To do this, we first have to look deeper into his character and actions. His brutality and ruthlessness work against him in this regard. Alexander was responsible for massacres and the enslavement of thousands of civilians in cities like Tyre and Gaza. In the Persian capital of Persepolis, he gave his army free rein to sack the city, resulting in widespread killing, rape, and plunder, before burning down the palace of Xerxes, an act potentially done in a drunken rage or as premeditated revenge. We also cannot doubt his megalomania and hubris. If anyone in history had these qualities, this self-endowed godlike complex, it would be Alexander, who thought he sprouted from Achilles himself, being a newer, more enhanced version. He declared himself the son of the god Zeus Ammon and demanded godlike honors, alienating many of his Macedonian and Greek followers. His pride and belief in his own divinity often led to reckless behavior in battle and a desire for endless conquest. Alexander was also prone to emotional instability and alcoholism, and it was possibly the drink that killed him, possibly toxic wine, but most likely typhus. He battled with paranoia, as all high rulers who covet their power tend to do, especially later in their lives. Towards the end of his life, his heavy drinking and the pressures of leadership led to increased paranoia and erratic behavior, which included executing those who questioned him. He had a severe temper to go with his heavy drinking problem, which historians believe contributed to his early death. In a drunken argument, he murdered Clitus the Black, a general who had once saved his life, and later executed his top general Parmenion on mere suspicion of conspiracy. As a ruler, we have to look at his governance and legacy to gauge the epithet given. It was said he was a poor administrator. While a brilliant military tactician, Alexander was less interested in managing the vast empire he conquered, often leaving existing local administrative systems in place. He focused on military campaigns rather than building long-term governing institutions. The collapse of his empire, showing his greatest failure as a ruler, was his inability to ensure a stable future for his kingdom, and this would always be a strike against an emperor. Did he leave his empire in the hands of his lineage, or did it fall into degradation after his death? He failed to name a clear adult heir, reportedly saying on his deathbed that his kingdom would go to the strongest. This led to a series of brutal civil wars among his generals, the Diadochi, and the rapid fragmentation of his empire shortly after his death. This is the curse of unending ambition. Like an addiction, it eats at us until no great feat is good enough, and the joy of conquest becomes the shackles that kill you. So which side would you fall on? The side of the great hero, touted for his victories and admired for generations, or the insecure child who pushed his men too far, caring about his ego and legacy more than his people? For many, particularly from the Persian perspective, Alexander was viewed as a brutal conqueror and a destructive force who razed great cities and destroyed cultural and religious sites. The greatness often attributed to him in the West largely stems from his undefeated military record and the subsequent spread of Hellenistic culture, rather than his moral character or administrative success. So the question at hand, great or not? This is like trying to ask if a human being is all good or all evil. Even the most evil person has some inkling of a good quality, whether hidden in some tiny aspect, and the Mother Teresas of the world have a dark side beneath the surface, only showing itself when rage or desperation rears their heads. We are all a mixed bag, shades of gray, the worst and the best of us. Alexander was great, and he was also terrible at the same time. His deeds were epic, and we tend to give immense respect to showings of such strength, especially throughout the ancient world. His mind and behavior in certain situations were horrid, and in modern times, these things take more precedence, as we have evolved to take into account the most dangerous part of a man, his mind. So in my opinion, this man was just another very flawed human being with the right or wrong mindset, thrust into a novel situation and doing what his personality and genes dictated at the time. It seems to me he fell on the lucky side of history. He got stuck with a title that most rulers in history would kill for, but at the end of the day, he had no control over this. And it was out of pure luck that the authors and historians of the time looked upon him favorably, thus turning him into a legend, immortalized through time. So at the end of the day, your deeds, your behavior, and your personality are thrown together in one hell of a rolling of the dice. And it's snake eyes for most, but for some like Alexander, history dealt a royal flush to his legacy.